Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into how an Indian company is completely revolutionizing a product you probably ate this week. We're looking at a story that perfectly combines grassroots community building with advanced scientific extraction, all to serve a massive global market.
So, think about this for a second. What actually connects a discarded forest seed in India to the massive global chocolate industry? It's kind of wild to think about, right? Because the answer to that is the foundation of a multi-million-dollar empire. And it doesn't start in some high-tech lab, but just scattered in the dirt on a forest floor.
The answer is Manorama Industries. These guys have built an absolute powerhouse of a business model, entirely around turning what most people treat as literal waste into high-value wealth. They are pioneering a forest bioeconomy model that is honestly as profitable as it is fascinating.
Let's jump into Section 1, the secret chocolate ingredient, raw materials.
We're talking about sal seeds, shea nuts, mango kernels, kokum seeds, and moora. Now, what's really interesting here is that these aren't your typical neatly planted cash crops. For generations, these were mostly ignored or just treated as low-value byproducts, literally just lying around in forests across India and West Africa.
The contrast here is just staggering. Manamora gathers these humble, overlooked forest byproducts and, through some seriously advanced technology, refines them into premium specialty fats. These are the exact ingredients going into top-tier European chocolates and high-end cosmetics. They're quite literally taking a seed off the ground and putting it right into a luxury product.
Moving right along to Section 2, Waste to Wealth Model Grassroots Network. You might be wondering, how do they actually collect these seeds across millions of acres of wild forest? Well, they've built an incredible grassroots network of over 18,000 tribal collection centers. Through initiatives like their Vaisakhi program, they empower local communities, especially women, to gather these seeds, which completely secures a zero-waste supply chain right from scratch.
Let's walk through how they got here. In 2005, they commenced sal seed extraction in Raipur, India. Fast forward to 2018, and they convert to a public limited company. By 2022, things really heat up. They're listed on the NSE and BSE, and they commission a massive 90,000-ton plant. And by 2026, they achieved a jaw-dropping 1,357 crores in revenue, boasting a massive global footprint. That kind of explosive growth is driven by one highly lucrative product.
Which brings us to Section 3, the CBE Gold Mine, High Margin Growth. Understanding CBEs, or cocoa butter equivalents, is absolutely crucial to understanding Manorama's explosive growth. A CBE is a non-lauric vegetable fat blend that precisely mimics cocoa butter's melting point and mouthfeel. It matches that exact melting point, so the chocolate melts in your mouth, not your hand. And because the EU permits chocolate makers to use up to 5% of CBEs in their chocolates, this clean label alternative has become incredibly valuable, especially as global cocoa prices continue to skyrocket.
To pull this off, the process itself is a fascinating blend of nature and deep tech. Step 1, they procure the raw sal and shea seeds. Step 2, they extract and fractionate the fats using advanced solvents to separate the hard and soft fats. Step 3, they blend them to mimic the exact triglyceride profile of cocoa butter. And finally, Step 4, they supply this premium formulation to global chocolate manufacturers.
Let's look at the numbers in Section 4, Financial Growth, Record FY26. This entire strategy led to a staggering 76.1% year-over-year revenue growth. Hitting that kind of hypergrowth in a heavy manufacturing and processing company is honestly super rare. And the secret sauce to those soaring revenues? Just 2 years ago, CBE revenue contribution was sitting at 10%. By FY26, that number shot up to 30%. They aren't just pushing more volume out the door, they're heavily prioritizing these specialized, high-margin premium products, and it's paying off big time. Even with broader geopolitical headwinds, their FY26 standalone results are phenomenal. They brought in a massive 1,357 crores in revenue. Profit after tax sits at 233.2 crores with a fantastic EBITDA margin of 27.1%. Plus, their net operating cash flow is at a super healthy 259.4 crores, all while squeezing their working capital cycle down to 125 days. That is operational efficiency at its absolute peak.
Manorama's management actually summed this up perfectly, noting that annual cash profit stood at 258.77 crores, which has already exceeded our gross block of 250 crores. Simply put, they are generating more cash in a single year than the total historic value of their physical assets. That proves their deep tech extraction capabilities generate massive returns compared to the cost of their facilities.
Let's wrap up with Section 5, Global Expansion, Deploying Capital. So where exactly is all that cash going? They're establishing a really smart dual supply chain. You've got Indian sourcing operations for sal, mango, and kokum, focusing on deep tech extraction, running alongside West African sourcing operations for shea nuts. And that African operation is backed by a 120 crore processing plant right in Burkina Faso. Processing raw shea directly in Africa slashes logistics costs and significantly improves the yield.
Armed with internal funding, they've mapped out a 460 crore planned capex over the next 2 to 3 years. This adds massive capacity, 75,000 tons per annum for a new cocoa butter alternatives plant, another 75,000 for a solvent fractionation plant, 90,000 for refinery expansion, and an additional 90,000 metric tons at that West Africa processing facility. This whole plan is designed to effectively double their output capacity by FY 2028.
And for anyone worried about global risks, their business model is brilliantly insulated. They have minimal revenue exposure to conflicts in Russia, Ukraine, or the Middle East. Raw materials are sourced entirely outside conflict zones. The Burkina Faso operation is locked in with a government-backed MOU to ensure project stability. Plus, they proactively hedge 60% of their foreign exchange exposure.
During their earnings call, management shared an incredibly bold vision, saying, "Our target is to make every human on this earth somewhere our customer." Now that sounds huge, right? But when your deep tech approach is providing the essential fats for the chocolates and cosmetics people buy every single week, it's actually a very real possibility.
Which leaves us with this final thought. As Manorama turns discarded forest waste into a global specialty fat empire, what other hidden, everyday commodities are waiting to be transformed into massive wealth? It really makes you rethink the untapped potential just lying around right at our feet waiting for the right company to notice.